Well, hello everyone. My name is Mr. Hippo, and the person who runs this YouTube account has asked me to take over for him for this episode, video of whatever he does. I believe he's playing some World of Warcraft right now, as I can see on the screen. So I believe he wants me to go in game and do things. Of course, I've never played World of Warcraft before in my life. So I'm just a purple hippo. But I believe that we're gonna go in and do some things. He didn't leave me any notes of what we're gonna do. But for people who don't know, my name is Mr. Hippo, and the one who usually does all of this, his name is John. I've known a lot of Johns in my life, but he seems to be one of the nicest ones. It reminds me of that place, Long John Silver's. It was a fish place. I don't know if it's around anymore. I haven't really seen much of it, but I remember I used to go there all the time, and I always got the fish. And what else did I get? I know I usually got some fried catfish, at least where I was, and I would always get the same thing every time I went, and my stomach would start to hurt after a little bit. And I remember I told my friend Orville about it, and he looked at me and he said, "Friend, why would you continue going to eat at this place when it was clearly making you sick?" And I said, "Orville, sometimes you don't have much of a choice, I said, "Sometimes you want fish and, you don't have a whole lot of money." To which he responded, "Why not just go out and buy your own fish?" To which I responded to that, "Orville, have you tried making your own fish? I'm not a chef, Orville. I've tried many things that are homemade and they never worked out. One year I tried to make, homemade eggnog. That didn't work out the way I wanted. I followed everything to a tea. Some iced tea with some lemonade, so good. But I followed it all to a tea, and then it didn't taste anything like what I expected. So sometimes," I said, "Orville, sometimes you need to leave it to the professionals." And that's what I did. I preferred to just go to this place because it was a professional place. And I remember he didn't say anything much about it after that. And I remember a little bit of time had passed, and I had the urge to go there again for some fish. And when I got there, I found it. I remember that day very well. It was very cold out. It was the middle of December. I looked outside, and there was a little bit of snow on the ground. It had snowed the previous night, and there was a little bit of snow coating the ground, not too much. So I got on my biggest, fluffiest jacket that I had, and it was nice and fluffy. I mean, after all, I am a hippo, so I have a lot of extra pounds on me. Sort of make it less cold out. But I still needed that jacket, and boy, I'm glad I brought it. It was very cold. And I got to Long John Silver's, or what I thought was Long John Silver's, and I got there and it was closed. I got there and the store was closed. And when I say the store was closed, I mean the store was no longer open for business, meaning the store was no longer open. I saw a man coming by, and I said, "Sir, what happened? What happened to Long John Silver's?" And he looked at me and he said, "Oh, it's been closed down for a while." And I said, "Why?" He proceeded to tell me that something about management, that they wanted to move it to the city, that it wasn't making money. And I frowned and I said, "Well, there goes my fish." I was very upset. I wanted fish. I remember I walked home and I felt tears coming out, and they were sort of freezing, because it was very, very cold. I got home and I was sulking for a very long time. I believe later on that week, I think it was a Friday, not too sure. It might have been a Saturday, but that's neither here nor there. I remember I got a phone call from my friend Orville, and he said, "My friend, you'll never guess what I just did." And I said, "Orville, what did you do?" And he said, "Allow me to tell you what I did. I found something that you're going to love." And I said, Orville, just tell me. He said, I will. As soon as I put my things down, I will tell you everything. So he proceeded to put his things down. I assume he just got home. He proceeded to tell me about a place he had found where he found some fish. And he was so excited about this place. He said it was very, very good. I said, Orville, what's the name of the place? And Orville responded. He said, I don't remember the name of the place, actually. I was just walking and I saw it and I smelled fish. You know, I'm an elephant. I have a long trunk and I can smell those things. I said, Orville, can you at least tell me where I can find this place that you're talking about? So he gave me a rough idea of where I could find it. And so I went out and I was looking all over in the area where he was. And I finally found it. It was a little hole in the wall, a little mom and pop shop. You wouldn't even notice it if you weren't looking for it. It was one of those places you needed to be told by someone to know where it was. In my case, it was my friend Orville who told it to me. So, you know, if someone else was looking for it and they asked me, I would have to tell them. But I remember I went in, and there was a very nice old couple there, and they said, how many? And I said, how many what? How many pieces of fish do I want? And they said, no. How many for your party? And I said, I didn't know we were having a party. No one told me about a party. And they said, no, silly. How many people will be dining today? I laughed upon the correction of me, and I said, well, I believe it'll just be me. My friend Orville might show up, but as far as I know, it'll just be me right now. I said, very well. And they showed me to a little table. It was by the window, and it was looking out over the water. And it was very nice. They brought over the menu. It's a very small menu, very small indeed. And these people were very nice. They said they'd been running this place for about 50 years, that the place was actually something else. But then the people originally couldn't pay the rent anymore for the land or the whatever it was on, for the business itself. And so they bought it and they turned it into this fish place. And they've been there for 50 years. I said, wow, 50 years? That's quite some time. You must be very successful. And they nodded and they said, yes, we've got a lot of loyal customers that come in. Fresh fish every day. And I might say it was fresh fish. They told me that they went out every morning at around 3 o'clock in the morning to go out and catch all the fish that would be used for the day. Unlike perhaps Long John Silver's, where some of it might have been frozen. But it was fresh fish every day, and you could smell the freshness in the air, not only around the building itself, but inside. It was so warm and cozy. I remember looking at the menu as I was taking all these sights and smells, and I know what I wanted right away, and luckily enough they had it. They had some fried catfish, and there were different meals and different ways of eating the catfish. I prefer mine fried, and so I said I'd like the fried catfish meal. You could order it either by itself, or you can order in a meal, which came with a drink and some French fries on the side. And they said, would you like extra fries with that? And I said, no, I'm sure the amount of fries that I get will be more than satisfactory for my appetite. So they asked me what I wanted to drink, and they brought it out. And I looked out over the water, and it was kind of a dark day, but I saw some fishermen still out there. And before I know it, my food was out. And I have to tell you, this was some of the finest fish I'd ever seen. This catfish was, it was perfect, perfectly fried, perfectly golden brown. And my mouth even now is watering just talking about this delicious piece of fish that was put in front of me. They then came out with a small basket of French fries. Same thing as the fish, very golden brown, very crunchy. As soon as I looked at it, I knew how crunchy it would be. So I eagerly took up my plate that it was on, and I slowly dipped it into the little bit of ketchup and other sauces that they provided, and I took my first bite, and by golly, I need to tell you, that was such a delicious piece of fish. I have to tell you, delicious piece of fish. It was so crunchy on the outside, and so nice and tender on the inside. And now when I have my fish, sometimes I don't like my fish to taste where it came from, you know? If I can taste where it came from, that's no good. But everything was so perfectly seasoned. A little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, and there was some other spice there. I can't quite put my finger on, but I know it was there. And I'm not. I didn't think too much to ask about what I was tasting. I didn't think of saying, "Excuse me, what is this other spice I'm tasting?" In fact, I was so busy eating this delicious piece of fried fish that it never even crossed my mind. If I had to guess, it might have been some paprika or something like that. It did have a little bit of spice to it, but I can only guess, as I'm not the one who cooked it. But I remember eating this fish and just enjoying the flakiness of the fish itself and the crispiness of the outside. The French fries were also very, very good, seasoned perfectly with salt. And they came over and they said, "How are you doing? Are you enjoying everything?" And I said, "By God, I am. This is by far the most delicious piece of fish I've ever eaten in my life. And I'm a hippo. I've eaten a lot of fish in my life." And then they said, "I'm glad to hear that. Is there anything you would like for dessert?" And I said, "You have a dessert menu?" They said, "Yes, it's not on the normal menu. That's for all the food items, for your dinners and whatnot. But we do have a very small, but we do have a dessert menu. Would you like to see it?" And I said, "Yes, I would love to see this dessert menu." And so they brought out this menu, and there was, you know, sort of everything you would expect: molten lava cake, a little bit of ice cream, a brownie, things like that. And I saw that they had a bit of carrot cake, and they said that the woman who co-owned this place, she made it fresh every day. And I said, "Really, every day?" She said, "Yes, we just go through that much of it." I was taken aback. How can a person sell that much carrot cake in one day? It was astounding. I said, "Well, I'll have a piece of carrot cake if you don't mind, and perhaps a little bit of ice cream on top, not too much. And if you've got anything else to go on top of that, I'd take that as well. You know, whipped cream or something like that. You know, you have something with ice cream, you get a little whipped cream." And they said, "Of course, we'll get that right for you. Is there anything else that you need?" I said, "Yes, I would very much like maybe you have a glass of milk to go with that cake." And they said, "Of course, would you like regular milk or would you like chocolate?" I said, "Well, I'd like chocolate, please." And they said, "We'll bring it right out." So they brought me my cake, my carrot cake, and my tall glass of chocolate milk. And I took a sip of the chocolate milk first, and it was ice cold. So delicious and refreshing. Even though it was very cold out, I found myself enjoying the refreshing nature of this milk. And I picked up my fork, and I eagerly took that first little cut into that piece of carrot cake that was sitting in front of me. And I put it in my mouth, and it was delicious. Small pieces of carrot in there, and nice bit of a sweet flavor to it. Carrot cake is not always known for being sweet, but this had the perfect amount of sweetness in it. I really appreciated that. And I remember I ate it so fast I didn't even notice. I looked down at my plate, and suddenly the plate is empty. You know, so I must have scarfed it down real fast. That was just how delicious this piece of cake was. And the woman came out and she said, "Well, I assume you must have liked it." And I asked what she meant. And she said, "Well, the cake's no longer there. I merely left you a minute ago." And I said, "It was very delicious. I scarfed it down before I even knew it, and now there's no cake left." And she said, "You know what? I don't do this very often, but I'm gonna give you a free piece on the house. You're a new customer, and we would love to see you again." So they packed up a piece of cake for me, and I was very grateful. I paid for my meal. It was a very good price for the amount of food that was given to me. And then, I proceeded to leave, and they said, "Come back anytime." They were very nice. It's an elderly couple, as you would expect, very kind. And I was eagerly walking home to eat my cake, because it was a bit of a long walk, and I knew as soon as I got home I'd want some of that nice cake. And I remember I got home, and as soon as I got home, I got a call from Orville. And then I said, "Orville, I just got back from that place you told me about." And he said, "It was good, wasn't it?" I said, "Indeed it was, Orville. Indeed it was. They gave me a free piece of cake." To which he responded, "How did you get a free piece of cake?" I said, "I don't know. They said I was a new customer, so they gave me a piece of cake." We then theorized for a minute about why in fact they did it. Maybe it was really for the fact that they had never seen a large purple hippo before. But that, I digress. I think it was just because I was such a friendly face that they wanted to see me again. So I didn't want to eat the cake just then. I put it in the refrigerator for a little bit. And wait, what am I doing? What was I saying? What was I supposed to? Oh, that's right. I was supposed to be playing World of Warcraft, but I believe we're out of time. He doesn't want me to go on for too long, and he doesn't want it for too short of a time. And I believe we've already spent about almost 20 minutes with me rambling on, and that just happens sometimes, in life. Sometimes you're going along, and you're really not paying attention to what you're doing, and you look up, and suddenly you're in a place you never realized you could get to, or something happens, and you just don't realize how you got there. And that happens to us all, I think. We have all of us have our problems, and we all have those moments where we're not really paying attention, and we're just going along, and we just end up somewhere else. And that's what life is. You're born, you find yourself somewhere, and then you find ourselves somewhere else. And I don't know if that would be like that for me, since I'm a hippo, but I assume for humans, everyone feels that way. Even with death is something people are so afraid of, but it's just another step in the cycle, And I believe that, you after you die, you could be inhabiting an animatronic such as myself, or you could find yourself on the next new adventure, a new grand adventure that you never thought you would know, something you never thought you would see because you never bothered to look up. Taking the second to just look around. And what was I saying again? Oh, that's right. World of Warcraft. We're not going to be playing it now. I've rambled on for too long. I just realized that I don't remember what he said to do. In fact, I'm very, very sorry for taking up so much of your time, but I do appreciate you listening for so long. It's not easy for an old hippo like myself to find an audience. But if before I go, I'll just tell you this. I'm sure he would want and love if you were to like, comment, and subscribe to his channel. I know if you're not going to do it for him, do it for Mr. Hippo, because for all I know, I could be put back in storage real soon. So I want my last remaining possible bit of life to be worthwhile, and that's another thing with humans. When you get older, you start thinking about your life and where you are, where you got there. Have I done anything with my life? And you think back about all the things you did, about regrets, things you could have done, things you shouldn't have done. And some of us die, we can die in peace. Some of us die with regrets. That's just part of living, I suppose. I can't say personally if I know what that's like, being a hippo. But I'm sure a lot of you are experiencing that feeling right now of what will it be like? And that's perfectly normal. But, where was I?